Hello everyone, welcome to another movie review. Today we're taking a look at Batman vs Superman. This movie has been causing a lot of controversy because there has been a lot of divided opinion between the fan base, the critics. Some people loved it, some people did not love it. There was a lot of changes in terms of the comic books. The ambience is a bit dark. There's definitely a lot of things that the movie changes a lot, but at the same time does a lot of things of the comics, and that has caused a lot of controversy. But let's talk a bit about it right now. The story of the movie starts pretty interesting because it's about Superman. People are questioning him a little of how he should have free will of always saving people, and Batman is actually one of them that's questioning Superman because he was actually present during the events of Man of Steel. He saw all the buildings crumbling down and he saw all that devastation, and that caused him a lot of trauma emotionally. He felt defenseless, which is kind of what the story goes, and that's gonna be a little bit of the tiny pieces that are gonna make his mind not really trust Superman and eventually lead to the epic battle that we want to see. The problem is that it takes a long while to get there. I don't mind seeing a lot of development throughout the movie, but it dragged on and dragged on, and the development wasn't really there as much as it should be. There was a lot of repetition of what they wanted to establish the movie. Part of this was also the character of Lex Luthor. So Lex Luthor is basically against Superman, as you might have guessed. That's kind of his thing. But for a movie that's trying to find a way to make Batman not trust Superman and get mad at him, we never get an explanation of why Lex Luthor is obsessed with Superman. I guess he's just a genius little man that just wants to be in control and stuff. But by the end of the film, they try to hint why Lex Luthor is doing the things he's doing, but then it doesn't quite get there. You still don't get it in the end, because part of the movie's problem is that when it's about to tell you something, it's not really detailed. It just establishes you something that might happen in the future, and that's the problem also in general of the film. There's a lot of establishing. Like, we're establishing this for this other film, and then we're establishing this for this other film, which is also the character of Wonder Woman. We're establishing her for the Justice League, and we're establishing her for a solo movie. In the terms of Wonder Woman, I thought it was actually handled well. But before we jump into that, so again, like I said, the story tends to drag because a lot of situations happen that ultimately lead to the battle of Batman versus Superman. By the time of the final event, the great battle between these two heroes, it ultimately feels flat because you've been waiting for so long, and the battle turns to be a little shorter than expected because the movie is actually Batman versus Superman sort of thing. That's what they're selling you to the film, but it's actually very short, the scene, after waiting for so many hours, well, not hours, but like a pretty long hour and a few minutes to get to that point in the movie. That ultimately the payoff seems a little flat, and the way they become later friends and they resolve their issues wasn't really convincing. I like the idea in a way. It was not a bad idea on how they tried to make them become friends, but it was perhaps not well handled script wise. Like, with a few different words and wording on how that situation happened, it could have gone much better because it's something. The reason they become friends, I'm not gonna spoil you the movie, it's something that's established very early on in the movie, and that's fine. It's well established in that sense. But the way it's delivered, it feels very rushed in the film. There's been a lot of complaints about Superman being too dark. Personally, I enjoyed a lot Man of Steel, so I still kind of enjoyed this film, although it has problems with the story and a few different things. I want to talk about Batman soon, but I'm not exactly against the tone of Superman. I, for one, I'm in favor of the movies being different from the Marvel films, because it's a different tone and they want to make it more realistic, and I'm fine with that. The problem is that in order for you to change something, you really have to justify why you're changing it. Because the Dark Knight franchise, they change a lot of stuff, but it justified all the way through why did they make those changes. You may agree with them, yes or no, but the movie always made sure of establishing why this is happening this way. And this movie tries to do that, but there's definitely a lot of struggle in trying to do it. I'm not saying that it needs to have funny jokes or anything, but it could have a bit of more light in some characters. Like, for example, Superman. I think Superman was handled well in some ways because the relationship between him and Lois Lane was there, and it was established well in that sense. But we didn't see more of Superman and the people. In Man of Steel, I like the idea that Superman was conflicted because he was an alien and he was not sure if he belonged in this planet. Should he sacrifice himself for that planet? And I liked a lot that struggle. And it ultimately made him make an ultimate decision. In here, he's helping the people, but we don't see him totally convinced he's okay with us he's doing. I think we need to see a bit more of the human side of him. I know he's not human, duh. But see more of, for example, him being Clark. We barely got to see him being Clark in the film. We only saw like one scene or two, and it was mostly just him meeting Bruce Wayne. I think we should have seen more of him being more human, just being casual, meeting with people, talking with people, show that light side of him. Anyway, let's talk about Batman. Batman, they're trying to make him even more dark than what he already has been, which is interesting. There's a little bit of thing that I don't really like about this Batman, and it's that his code is practically gone. He's like, in a couple of sequences, even though he's not seen killing, although ignoring the flashback and dream sequences for a moment, we'll talk about it in 1 second. But Batman, in some sequences, when he's on the Batmobile, he's shooting at people, and we have no information if he's actually killing them, or if those are electrical shots or something. Like in the game Batman Arkham Knight, you're using a tank, but it's always explained that you're not really killing those people. But in here, there's not a single moment of Batman going like he cared for what he did, like any remorse, or it's never specified. And I understand that they're trying to make a Batman is old, he has gone through a lot and he's losing his senses in a bit because it's going very dark because of the situations that happened, and apparently something happened to Robin that he died or may have not died or gone crazy, I don't know. And that's the problem of the film. You're trying to sell me that Batman has gone through stuff, so that's why he's darker right now in this point of the film. But I have no idea why is he dark. What are those things that made him like that? Instead, the movie focuses on showing how his parents died. And I know it's something that it should be added at some point in the film, but there's scenes of him just going to the tomb of his parents, for example. And there's these dream sequences that, although one of them is cool and I can accept that one, which is the one where everything's all apocalyptical and stuff, but there's other dream sequences of him that are completely unneeded, and instead of having those sequences, we should have seen stuff that happened to Batman before this movie. What has happened to him? Why is he going this dark? And that's the thing about this movie. Why is this happening? There's also a bit of the situation with Superman. The last time we saw him in Man of Steel, he was still getting used to the thing of being part of Earth, becoming a hero and all that. In here, he's already that. He's already been a hero for a while now. And sometimes the movie just spends too much time recreating the same messages, going back in time to things that don't really have that much relationship to the characters right now at this point, and that really affects the film, and it really affects also the balance of the film, which I thought editing wise was kind of cramped up. I mean, there was this stuff happening with Lois Lane, there's stuff here with Superman, there's another thing that Batman's doing, oh, Wonder Woman's there, cool. But there was so many things that I think overall, if the movie had been organized and edited in some different way, I think we would have gotten a more solid film overall structure. I think the only character that we didn't really get context, but actually worked out for me, was Wonder Woman. I like the idea of Wonder Woman didn't have much context, she just appeared there, she was just checking in and stuff, and then she helps them out in the end. And I like that because it gave you an air of mystery. Like, her character being a mystery, because this is not really a story about her, but she's there, like we're telling you, she's actually around here, she's got stuff to do, and she's gonna be important to this thing later on, and I think that works out for her. But for the protagonists that are Superman and Batman, I should know more, I should not have an eye of mystery. Anyway, let's talk about the acting. I think overall the cast was great. One of the great things about this film overall was the cast. I think Ben Affleck is really, really great as Batman, although I have my complaints of Batman's direction overall. If you like to see a more stronger, grittier, but not too grittier, it's just the direction of it. But the acting, if you want more in the sense of the Batman Arkham franchise Batman sort of way, and there's also a very cool action sequence of Batman that's in the style of those games, which is absolutely amazing and one of the highlights of the film. But going back to Ben Affleck, he really does that kind of portrayal from the video games. I think he's definitely the best in giving us the rough Batman that we know more on the comics and video games themselves. I think the other actors have been great, but they're kind of better more on the Bruce Wayne thing, less than on the Bat thing. Henry Cavill is good. He's not bad. I always feel like they don't give him the potential to show more of him. I feel like he's never given enough strong scenes for him to really show Superman. Like, Superman is this person, like, see all the colors of Superman. And I feel like it's a missed opportunity because I think he's a pretty good actor overall. Gal Gadot was my biggest surprise of the film as Wonder Woman. I was like very skeptical, I'll be honest. I wasn't skeptical about Ben. After I saw Argo, I was sold on Ben Affleck. But Gal Gadot, I was like, what a strange choice. But she delivered. She always had an eye of mystery, and every time you see her on screen, you want to see more of her throughout the film. And when she finally is Wonder Woman, it was absolutely epic. Her arrival was the most cheered by fans on the theater. She had everything that Wonder Woman does when she's in action, and she had little details here and there that really made you go, wow, she really is Wonder Woman. One of the most controversial ones, well actually the most controversial of the film, is Lex Luthor by Jesse Eisenberg, which by the way, I'm sorry if I'm screwing up all the names. I find him annoying at first, but I think overall I like how he progressed. I got used to him. I like his craziness overall. He kind of played more of a Riddler type of thing rather than Lex Luthor, but I think it was interesting. I was always intrigued what he was gonna do next. Sometimes the movie, another thing I didn't mention, sometimes the movie makes a lot of references to God, with Superman, and it's not a bad idea in the sense that yes, some people might treat him as a god, but it was kind of established already in Man of Steel, and it's fine to re-establish it here because it's important here. But sometimes the movie again repeated the same whole thing, and sometimes it was a little too much in your face. Like, okay, they see him as a god, but then they start making visuals of him being a god, and it felt unnecessary. The people are talking about him that he's a god, but do we really need to see Superman acting as a god? No, we don't really need to see it because that's not what he really wants to be. He doesn't want to really be treated like that, so he's not gonna start acting like one, posing like God and all that stuff. I felt that was a little necessary in that sense. Overall, the movie is not terrible, it's not really bad, it's just decent. The whole story itself is actually a good concept, but the execution overall is disappointing as there's not a great structure in the script and the way it's presented overall in the film. But the cast is still great in this film, and there's some great highlights here and there for comic book fans, so at least I recommend it to watch it once and make your own judgment on the film, because I know it's definitely a film that it really depends on your style and vision of these characters overall. So I give this movie a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment below. Feel free to comment anything. Tune in next week as we're gonna take a look at the Star Wars The Force Awakens Blu-ray review. We'll be doing that one. And later this weekend, I'll be doing a review of Star Wars Rebels Season 2 finale. So stay tuned for that.